Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be learning how to draft the upper bodies of this style you are seeing here. If you are yet to subscribe, kindly subscribe, turn on your notification bell so that you can get notified whenever we drop new videos. Let's get into it.
Then we are going to be to get our vertical measurement. This is going to be serving as my starting point. So I'll go ahead and mark my vertical measurement, which is the bust point, my under bust, and my arc length. I'll be using 17 inches for my arc length. So I'll mark it like so with broken lines, then I'll connect together. After that, the next thing is to get our chest line. To get your chest line, you can divide your bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5. Whatever answer you get is going to be your chest line. So for me, I'll be using 9 for my chest line. 9 inches is going to serve as my chest line. And you can also come up by 1.5 inch to 2 inches in order to get your chest line. Okay? So you can come up by 1.5 to 2 inches to get your chest line. It's worked fine. I've tried it several times and it's okay. So the next thing to do is to mark half of your shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 16, half of it is 8 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark half of it at the upper part, which is my starting point. Then I'll mark half of it at my chest line. Then I'll connect it together. After doing that, the next thing is to create our neckline, whatever neckline you want. For me, I'll be creating my neckline now. I'll use 4 inches for the width and I will use 3.5 inches for the bed. So at this shoulder point here, I'll come down by 1 inch to create my shoulder slope. Then I'll connect it to this neck width. I'm still coming back to shaping my neckline. So I'll be connecting this to this. So before then, I want to create my armhole curve or arm side. So I'll measure whatever I have remaining from this shoulder slope to my chest line. Then I'll divide it by 2. You can see I have 8. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So at that point, I'll come in by half an inch so that we don't have any form of gaping around that place. So I'll connect this to this and this to this. So I'll just place my armhole curve like so. Then I'll connect. Make sure it's under half inch point. Then you connect in order to create your armhole. So our armhole is ready now. The next thing I'm going to do now is to mark my bust span, which is also the nipple to nipple measurement. So for this person, the bust span is 7.5. So half of 7.5 is going to give me 3.75, which is here. So this is my bust span. So I'll mark my bust span from my chest line all the way to my arm length. And if you're also making a full top length, just do like so. So after marking my bust span, I'll come up here at the shoulder slope. I'll mark whatever I have there and divide it by 2. So for this, I have 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So I'll connect it back to my chest line using a straight ruler. Well, this is going to be a guide for us where we want to grade our shoulder back, or we want to do our chest tightening. So the next thing to do now is to mark 0.75 at the half length towards the center. I'll mark 0.75 at the half length towards the center and at the under bust also. So I'll come to the side part of the pattern. I'll mark 1.5 inch. So I'm going to be connecting these two lines together now. Then I'll connect them to the breast point. After connecting it together, I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the breast point, and I'll connect this also to the breast point.
So the next thing I'm going to do now is to connect these lines to my breast point line. I see that I'm going to label it. This is my breast point. So I'll go ahead and place my curved line like this. I'll make sure that the curved line is touching this point and this point, and at the same time, I'll make sure that it is curved well. That is, I'm not having any form of pointy, any form of sharp edge. Okay. So this is what I have now. I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the second side also. I'll place my curved line like this. Can you see? You can see that when I wanted to draw this one, we used more of this part. But when we are drawing this one, we do not need this part because it's not as curved. This part is not as curved as this. Okay. So take note of that. So I'll go ahead and connect it together like so. So after connecting it together, the next thing I'm going to do now is to determine the length of my yoke. So from the length of my yoke, I'll be using 8 inches for the length of my yoke. I'll be using 8 inches for the length of my yoke. Okay. So I'll go ahead and mark the 8 inches and connect with a straight ruler. This is a sweetheart neckline. So at the center front here, this is 8 inches. I'll come down by 1.5 to create my sweetheart neckline. This totally depends on you. Whatever you want, that is what you are going to do. So I'll go ahead and connect this point to this point using my curved ruler. So I decide to go down a bit so that the sweetheart shape can show. Okay, you can see that I went down a bit so that the sweetheart shape can show. Normally, whenever you are making a sweetheart neckline, the least you should do is 2 inches at the center front. That is 2 inches plus. Now this is my yoke, 8 inches. So your sweetheart point should be 10 inches. That is when it's going to show well. Or else it's not going to show. You can do more than that, but the least you should do is 2 inches. So after doing it, the next thing is to do our chest tightening. To do your chest tightening, you can use two methods. First method is to take away 2 inches and the upper part here, 2 to 2.5 inches, depending on the size you are working with. So you can decide to divide the 2 inches. Now for me, I want to work with 2 inches. You can decide to add the 2 inches, divide it equally on both sides, and you can decide to take a smaller part of the 2 inches here and you take the bigger part here. Now for me, if I want to use that method, I will be coming at this center front part, I'll be marking 0.75, and at this side front part I'll be marking 1.5 in order to make up for my 2 inches. The reason why I'm going to do that is because I don't want this place to be too small. By the time I take 1 inch out of this place, the remaining will be too small. That was why I'm going to do it like that, but I'm not going to do it like that. I want to make use of my shoulder that. Okay, so the method I'll be using, I'm making use of my bust that, and for me to create my bust that, I need to impute my horizontal measurements, which is my bust and my waist measurements. In this case, if you are making a top, you can go ahead and add your hip measurements. For me, my bust is 44 divided by 4 is 11. Then my waist, now when it comes to your waist measurement, you are going to, because this we are cutting it out, so whatever you mark here, you are going to add it to the measurement. Now my waist measurement is 36, that is 9. So let's see what we have here. I have 3 inches here, as you can see. So I will place the 3 inches. I will not continue marking the 9 like that. I'll place it here, then I'll mark my 9. Or you just go ahead and add the measurements you have here, which is 2¼ to your 9, then you mark it all the way. Can you see? So after doing that, you connect them together. Okay, so after connecting your horizontal measurements together, the next thing you are going to do is to create your bust that. So for me, the difference between the front and the back is just 1 inch. So I'll come down by 1 inch from my breast point, then I'll connect it back to my breast point. Okay, so like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'll cut out this pattern so that I can open up my bust. I can close up my bust that and open up my shoulder that, so that we can do the chest tightening. So this is what I have. So before cutting out my bust pad, I'm going to be dividing it into 2, which is ½ an inch. So I'll mark ½ an inch at this point, then I will divide it into 2 so that I'll be able to fold it and do the necessary corrections that I need to do. So I'll go ahead and cut it now. I'll cut it like this. Can you see? So after cutting it, I'll place it on the second line, which is this. I'm going to place it on this line like this. Okay, you can see that they are not equal anymore. That is what I want to show you. It's not going to be equal after closing it up. So all you need to do is just to connect the one that is longer back and connect it like so. So by the time I want to cut it, I'll be cutting this line, not this line. It's very close to each other because this is just 1 inch. If your difference is 2 inches, the difference will be a bit more than this. So after doing that, I'll go ahead and close it. I'll go ahead and open my shoulder, that this line that I marked here. I'll go ahead and open it. Okay, then I'll close up this one. I'll close up this one so that this can, I will open it till I get to my bust point, till I get to the bust point. Okay, so I'll close up my bust that. So this is just basic dart transferring. So I've transferred the dart we have here to this place. So after slashing, you are going to measure whatever you have here. So this is not a constant, okay? So there are two ways to this. Because my bust dart is 1 inch, I'm going to have a smaller figure here. But if your bust dart is 2 inches, you are going to have a wider figure, okay? So if you have a smaller figure, what you are just going to do is you are going to add 1 inch to whatever you have here. Now for me here, now I have 1.25. Can you see? I have 1.25. So I will add 1 inch to my 1.25. It's going to give me 2.25. Okay, 2 and 1/4. So that is what I will use as my over bust tightening here. Okay, so but if your own case is the case of your bust that is 2 inches, so this place is going to be wider. Okay, you don't even need to spread it. It's going to spread by itself. So by the time you measure it, you might be having like 3.5 to 4 inches here. So whatever you have here, you divide it by 2. Then you come here to the armhole side here. Then you mark what you have, division of what you have here by 2. Okay, after dividing it, you connect it to your bust point. Okay, so when you connect it to your bust point at the chest line here, you measure what you have, then you transfer the same thing to the center front. Let me explain again. Now let's assume my bust that is 2 inches, and by the time I spread this, I have 4 inches. Okay, I have 4 inches. So I'll divide my 4 inches by 2, which is 2 inches. Then I'll mark my 2 inches towards the armhole side, which is exactly on my armhole shoulder line here. So I'll connect that 2 inches to my breast point. Okay, this is just, I'm just trying to explain to you in case your own client or your measurement falls on this particular particular category. So after joining it to your breast point, you now mark whatever you have here. You can see I have 0.8, almost 1 inch sharp. So you mark it here also. Whatever you have here, you mark it here. Then you are good to go. So you mark it here. You connect back to your breast point. Hope that is clear. But for in my own case, so in my own case, that my bust difference is my bust that is just 1 inch. So what I have here is 1.25. So I'll mark it here 1.25. Okay, I'll mark 1.25. Then I'll connect it to my breast point. Okay, so that is just the difference. If you have a larger number, you divide it by 2. Then you connect it to your breast point. But if you have a smaller number, you just connect it like so. If the figure you got is 2 inches 1.5, just connect it the way it is. So at this point I have 0.5, so I'll go ahead and mark 0.5 at this place. You know that under bust tightening is not the same for all measurements. The bigger your bust, the bigger your underbust, the more the underbust tightening. I don't know if that makes sense. So those people that have a bigger bust area, their underbust tightening is always more than people with smaller bust. That is just how it is. Okay, so so I'll connect this to my breast point like this, and you can see that our cup ready, our cup is ready. So this is my yoke line. This is my yoke line, as you can see. This is my yoke line. So I'll go ahead and open up the bust dart so that I can close the shoulder dart. So I need to close my shoulder dart. So this shoulder dart closing is going to be a permanent closing. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close my shoulder dart. Let me do that. So by the time you close up your shoulder dart, the lines, your yoke line and your shoulder line is not going to be equal anymore. So you just have to blend it. You can see this is supposed to be, this is my shoulder line and this is also my shoulder line. So I'll blend this to this. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and blend it like this, and for this also, so I'll just go ahead and blend it in. This is small, so I'll just go ahead and blend it in. After blending it in, you have to return whatever you took here. So for me now it is 1.5, so I'll return it back to my shoulder, to my yoke point here. I'll return it back. I'll return it back here like this. And for the shoulder slope also, I'll return the 1.25 that I took. I'm going to return it like that. Or you can as well just remeasure your measurements. Whatever you have before, you remeasure it, then you mark what is supposed to be there. So I'll just go ahead and connect like this. So after doing that, let me use my marker to trace it out so that you can know the lines you are following. So the line of this marker is what we are going to follow when I want to cut it. Okay, so this is it. So after cutting it out, I gonna like to open up the dart. This is optional. The reason why I open up the chest tightening, which is the chest dart, is because this tightening I did here, I want to add more. I want it to be so firm. So at this side part here, I'll be marking 1.25. Then I'll connect it. You know that what I used before was 0.75. 0.75 will still work. Oh, it will work. Don't get confused. It will work. But this is just based on my preference. So I want it to be so tight. That was why I added half an inch to it. Okay. So even with this half an inch I add to it, I do not need to add anything to this place because what I added here initially, by the time I finish joining it, I will still need to cut it out. Like after measuring and all of that, I will still need to trim it out. So I'll just go ahead and cut my um cup now. Can you see? So just go ahead and cut it. I don't want you to get confused. That is why I try my best to explain as much as I can. If you have any question, please kindly drop it in the comment section. And if you have watched this video to this point, kindly subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bell, like and share so that YouTube can recommend the videos to a lot of people. So this is what I have now. Can you see? This is what I have. So I just want to blend this place in. I don't like how sharp it is looking. Okay, so after cutting it this way, go ahead and create my cup. I want it to have a sort of cup. Okay, so at this center front here, I'll be coming in by half an inch all the way up. I'll come in by half an inch. So I'll connect from this under bust to the half an inch. Then at this side piece here, I will add 1 inch to my nipple to nipple measurement. My nipple to nipple measurement is 3.75 after dividing it. So 3.75 plus 1 inch is going to give me 4.75. The reason why we are adding the 1 inch is because the side, the bust is fuller by the side more than the shoulder. So I'll go ahead and I added the 1 inch to it is because the bust is always fuller by the side. So I'll go ahead and connect this point to the under bust, then to my armhole side. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that now. You can also do this before cutting it out. Okay, you can do this before cutting it out. It just depends on what you want. Just depends on what you want. You can do this before cutting it out. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. And for the center front also, I'll go ahead and connect this half-inch point that I marked at the upper part. I'll connect it back to my under bust. Okay, so just place your curved ruler like this. Make sure it's touching the point. So just make sure it is touching that point there. Then you connect back to your under bust. So I'm trying to place it well. Okay, this is okay. So I'll connect it back to my under bust. Then I'll go ahead and cut this out now. So for this is optional. All this I'm doing now is optional. It's just based on my preference. You can decide to just join your pattern and you are good to go. So I'll go ahead and cut this now because I want it to have a cup shape. And the reason why I want it to have a cup shape so that it will be easy for me to add my accessory. As you can see the style, those studs that are there, I don't need to start marking and marking, so it will be easy for me to add it. So that was why I did that. So we are almost done with the cutting of the front. Yes, so I'll just cut out the side measurement, which is here. I'll cut it out, then I'll do this in here. Okay, so for the back pattern, you need your chest line, your under bust, then your length. This is my length, so this is the length I will be using. The first thing you are going to do for that, after you have gotten all of those measurements, is you to mark your shoulder measurement, half of your shoulder measurement. After marking your shoulder measurements, you go ahead and create your neckline. I used 4 inches for my neckline for the front, so I'll come down by 1 inch, then I'll connect together. can also connect it with your free hand. It all depends on how well you know how to do that. So the next thing is to create the shoulder slope. Basically, some things we did for the front, okay? The only thing that we are not going to be doing for this is breast point and all those contouring we did. That's what we are not going to do. So the next thing is to impute our horizontal measurement, which is your bust and your waist measurement. Now, if your under bust measurement is different from your waist measurement, go ahead and add your under bust measurement to it. But for me, it is the same thing. So I will add my waist measurement plus I will add my waist measurement plus that allowance, okay? So my that allowance is 1 inch, then I'll connect together. After connecting it together, I'll go ahead and create my shoulder armhole. I'll create my armhole cup. So for this particular one, you do not need to come in by half an inch. Just connect it like this. Just place your curvature and connect. Make sure it's touching this chest line and the shoulder line. Then you connect. The reason why we don't need that because for the back we do not need it. Okay, so this is what we are. After that, I'll go ahead and mark my yoke point, which is 8 inches from the starting point. It is 8 inches from the starting point. So I'll go ahead and rule it like so. And you can decide to make it stylish. It all depends on what you want, okay? So I want it to be a bit stylish. So I'll just come down a bit. I'll come down a bit. Right? Should I do this? Let me just leave it this way. I'll leave it this way, okay? So this is going to serve as my yoke. So I'm gonna have to insert my measurement already. Next is to create my dart. So I'll come in my half of my bust band, 3.75, and I'll do a straight line till I get to my chest line. So a straight line. So I'll take half an inch on both sides because I added just 1 inch, okay? So half an inch on both sides at the under bust and at the half length area. Then I'll connect it to my chest line like so. After connecting it to my chest line, I'll go ahead and use my marker to trace it out so that it can be more visible to you. I'm done tracing it out with my marker. As you can see that it is much clearer now. So I'll go ahead and cut it and I'll be adding allowance accordingly. So for the shoulder, I'll be adding half an inch allowance. For my neckline also, I'll be adding half an inch. For the joining of this to this, I will add half an inch. For the side seam, I'll be adding 1.5 inch. So you can add whatever side seam you want to add. It all depends on you. And for the down part here to join to the bodies, that is the skirt part, I'll be adding half an inch also. So this is what we have. I'm not cutting out my dart, so I'll be taking in the darts while sewing. You can decide to cut out your dart. It all depends on you, but for me, I'm not doing that. So I add half an inch here. This part here, I'm going to be adding 1.5 for my zipper allowance. I will add half here. 0.5, which is half. Then I will add 1.5 here. This is going to be, I will add 1.5 here also because the zipper is going to get to that place. So I created this because I wish to do this. This is optional. I want it to be stylish here. So I added one. I'll be adding 1 inch here because it's going to overlap. I'll be adding buttons to this place. Okay. So you add half inch here, half here, then you add half here. This place also you add half inches. Then you are good to go. So in this case, I'll be cutting 2 of this. Okay. So I'll go ahead and cut it now. So I'm going to cut out my front piece and I've added my allowance and as well cut out my yoke. This is my back yoke and this is my front yoke which I'm using a nude net. So if you are using a nude net for your own also, make sure that the part that is going to be across the chest, that is across the back like this, make sure it is the most stretchy part. Make sure it is the most stretchy part so that you can lay weight on the body. So when you use the most stretchy part, do not bother adding allowance at the arm area. Can you see that I did not add any allowance at this area? So you do not need any allowance. By the time you join your sleeve, it's going to be as firm as possible so that it can enter into the skin. So that is that about that. Now for the back piece, I'm here to cut it because I want to show something. This is a trick. If you're working with the damask fabric like I am doing now, make sure you add your interface to it before you cut it out. This is because damask fabric usually shrink when you apply it on it. That is, when you iron it, it's going to shrink. Most damask fabric, or brocade as you call it in your area, they usually shrink. So that was why I'm here to cut it, so that I can explain that to you. So add your interface to it before you cut out. Okay, so then you cut out. So I'm going to cut this out now. If you find this video helpful, please like, comment and share. Comment, and I will surely do that.